Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank everybody for tuning back in this week. I also, right off the bat, want to thank everybody for all the comments and all of you that have been subscribing to the channel. You've been coming back every week watching, and I had a good little bump in subscribers since the last couple of videos. So I really appreciate that. Hopefully that's because the information and the stuff we're talking about are things that are helping you when you're out on the water and helping you catch some fish. Today's video is going to be about the baits and techniques that I really lean on and like to throw in the month of May. In May, my fishing centers around pretty much three things. The bass that are still spawning, the post-spawn, you still got some that are pre-spawn. But it also centers a lot around the shad spawn and the bluegill spawn. When bass are spawning, then bluegill drive them nuts. When the bluegill start spawning, the bass start returning the favor. And a lot of the success I've had in the month of May has come from fishing shad spawns and bluegill spawn. So my bait selection and techniques in the month of May center around those things. First, let's talk about the shad spawn. The shad spawn most of the time is a real early morning deal. There are times you can hit on it in different parts of the day, but for the most part, first light in the first hour or two of your day when the shad are spawning could be some of the best fishing of the whole day. And there's three baits that I lean on a lot, actually four, but three mainly as far as it goes with that first early morning, first light of the day bite. And the first two are crankbaits. And I just rely on these two baits a lot this time of the year when the shad are spawning. And I'm sure you've heard me mention both of them before, but right now is when I got them tied on and expect to use them a lot and have success with them. The first one is a Strike King 1XS. And the 1XS stands for extra shallow. You can see it's got a real small lip. This thing only dives a foot or less. Most of the time the shad spawn is around hard cover, rock, riprap, docks, but you'll see them doing their thing around even the edges of bushes, laydowns, grass lines. This little bait is awesome when you see shad spawning and they're up super shallow. I mean, there have been times when just cast after cast, you just throw, and a lot of times when people are throwing spinnerbait, you think the fish have seen a lot of spinnerbaits because they don't seem to be, eating the lure like you think they should, or they're just not going after it the way you think they should, not aggressive enough with it. This little bait right here is just awesome. Again, and this is I think just the regular sexy shad color, but this is the Strike King 1XS. The other one I really like when the shad are spawning is the Rapala BX Brat, and this is the 3-foot version. Only dives down to about 3 foot. Man, this is an awesome little bait when the shad are spawning. It's got good action. This color in particular, I think it's called olive shad, has been real good for me. And this is another one that I've just had a whole lot of luck with during the shad spawn. So these two crankbaits I'm going to have on. Let's see how good you can see these. The Brat and the 1XS. Both of those, and the third bait is going to be the good old standby white spinnerbait, shad color spinnerbait with 2 silver blades. This is a 1/2 ounce Strike King bleeding bait series. I just throw this spinnerbait a lot. If you still got stain in your water, if still dingy, you might want to throw one with some chartreuse in it. But by now the water's starting to clear up because we're not having as much rain. So I usually just try to go with white with 2 silver chrome or silver blades, whichever you'd like to call it. Another, and the last bait I throw a lot in May this is the Uzuri. It's a Uzuri pencil is what they call it. And this is just their walking bait. And this is the bone color. This is the new one. I just changed the hook on it yesterday. But I've got a couple of these where you can't hardly tell it's bone anymore. But this bait, and you can throw any kind of walking bait that you prefer. This is just one I've had a lot of luck with. It's got a good hard knock in it. And anytime I see them busting, I throw this up there. And it's just a walking bait. I like to throw it if you're at Kerr or Gaston, probably even Falls, long or secondary points on their way back out too from spawning. This is a good bait to throw, any kind of walking bait. Now, let's talk about the bluegill spawn. Some of my best success during the month of May is catching bass around bluegill beds. And it's just, like I said, the bass want to return the favor. Those bluegill have been driving them crazy, trying to get to their nest and eat their eggs. And you see the bass chasing them off and a lot of times just hitting them, just feeding on them just to kill them and get them out of there, you know. And to me, the bait that has worked best for me over the years is this one right here. This is a Bass Pro Shops XPS popper. This is just their version of a little popping bait. The thing with this bait right here is, and I've discovered it over the years, is this bait is so easy to walk. And you can walk and pop and get it to make so much commotion just by, you know, popping, twitching, walking it. You can walk it almost as well as you can that pencil bait. And whenever I see bluegill beds, I always throw this around it. And I can't tell you how many times I've come up with a 3, 4, or a little bit, you know, even bigger fish fishing around bluegill beds, not even knowing that fish is there, just by working this bait right here. And this is called like bleeding perch or something. And this is not an expensive bait at all. That's why I've been surprised with the success of it. But sometimes, you know, the baits that you don't spend a lot of money on end up being ones that catch you a lot of fish. But I just changed the hooks on it. I usually put a feather treble on the back, and these hooks are pretty worn out. And this bait has caught me a good amount of fish. One of his eyes are gone and still works. The bass don't care about that. But yeah, it's a Bass Pro Shops XPS, and this is their popper, and this is called Bleeding Perch. And you just, when you know the bluegill are on beds, you see them, you just throw this up and you work it around those bluegill beds. And I'm telling you, if there's bass around, you'll know quick. If you throw it up there 2 or 3 times and you don't get nothing coming after it, you don't see nothing waking up on it, or you don't see any reaction, chances are there probably aren't any bass around. But bluegill beds is definitely something I go after and pursue a lot and look for in the month of May. And this is the bait right here that has done the most damage for me. Now, one other bait that I do like to throw around bluegill beds, and I fish a lot around pads or grass, and I really start throwing more in May, is a frog. This is just a Booyah pad crasher, I think they call it. And this is the aqua frog color. And to me, it's got a little bit of a bluegill look to it, with the colors blue, the purple, the black back, and it's got a little chartreuse on the head. That's a good frog. And this little frog right here is a cheap little frog that I found, and I'm gonna probably end up doing a little video on these frogs. I found this frog on Amazon, and it's a little frog, really soft, surprisingly really good hook. I cannot tell you the name of the company right now that makes it. I'm sure it's a Japanese or Chinese knockoff of a, you know. But you get 4 or 5 of these in a little clear, like terminal tackle box, and they're only like 10 bucks. And these little frogs, man, they're smaller than most that you see. They're easy to walk, and I just catch a ton of fish with them. And like I said, I'm gonna do a little video on this frog in particular, just because there's a couple little things I do that have helped with the durability of it. The plastic itself is very durable, but for right now, I'm just going to tell you, a frog around the bluegill beds is another bait that I like to throw. So we went over the shad spawn, covered the bluegill. Now the last bait technique is something that I've gotten a lot of confidence in just in the last 4 to 6 weeks. And you know, probably none of your surprise, it's going to be the free rig. This is something that I am realizing the more I use it, the more I experiment with it, the more fish I'm catching with it, and how versatile it is, and how quickly you can cover water with a slow presentation with this rig. I'm not going to harp too much on the rig itself because I have talked about it a lot, but I've covered the shad spawn and the bluegill spawn. Well, you still got bass spawning, and you got bass now that are half spawned and they're working their way back out. So a lot of the areas you fished when you were pre-spawn fishing, that you were expecting them to stop and hold up in before they moved that final push on the bank to spawn, you hit those areas again, and you put on, you know, whatever your favorite crawl or creature bait is, and you cast this around that cover, lay downs, stumps, just dragging it around on rock on secondary points and things like that. And it's going to get you bites to those fish that are working their way back out, because they don't all just, I don't think they just make a mad dash. Okay, we're done. Let's, you know, some of them probably do, because we're learning again that fish do a lot of things and move a lot quicker in some instances than what we ever thought. But this is just something that I can cover those areas again with, and just soak a bait around them. And this free rig for me, man, has just been something that's opened my eyes to how versatile it is, and how many fish you can catch with it. And you can put anything on the back of it. You can put a fluke on the back of it. You can put a Cinco on the back of it. I'm still one that's partial to baits that have a little bit of a flatter shape to them, because I think it helps with the fall. The scoon bug has been a good one. You want to dictate your color to the water. Like I said, the water's starting to clear up, so you may lean more on your green pumpkins and your watermelons and that kind of thing. This just happens to be one I had on the river the other day, black and blue. And another bait that I'm using on it a lot besides the scoon bug, and that's this piglet from Black Label. This is one of their plastic baits. That flat diameter shape of that thing just helps it to fall so slowly, and it's got like a gliding action when it falls. Probably better, honestly, than any other bait. But this scoon bug, they eat this thing like candy. I don't know what it is about it. It kind of, in a way, is a resemblance a little to the rage crawl, but it's smaller in length and in thickness and diameter. It's not as big a bait. And it kind of looks a little like a rage crawl. I mean, the Zoom speed crawl. But honestly, I've gotten more bites with this than I have the speed crawl. But speed crawl's a good bait, dude. It's confidence, man. Whatever you got the most confidence in tying on and using. But this piglet is another one that I've got a lot of confidence in. And this is, I think this is green pumpkin with green pumpkin cotton candy with red flake in it. Because it's got 3 different colors of metal flake in it. That's the things that I throw in the month of May. After May, you know, things change again with some of my baits and techniques. I'm basically a shallow water fisherman, 10 foot or less, and I'm really kind of a junk fisherman. I just like to have stuff tied on where I come in contact with different kinds of cover, different situations, and I got a rod rigged up that I can pick up a bait and fish that situation. I do fish a little bit deeper in the summer, but 10 to 12 foot deep most of the time is probably as deep as I'll go. For May, got your shad spawn, your bluegill spawn, and you're fishing for the fish that are starting to finish up the bass spawn and they're working their way back out. And these baits I just showed you are the ones I rely on for the month of May. They get the job done for me. I'll have more videos coming along. If you guys got anything in particular, just send me a question or comment. If you got a topic for a video for something I talked about, because I know sometimes, especially when I'm on the water and I'm in a tournament, your focus is on the competition and what you're doing to do as well as you can do in the tournament. I probably don't explain things as thorough as I should. So if there's something else, you know, you'd like to see a video on, or something you want to talk about, or you'd like me to talk about, just shoot me a comment, question, and I'd be glad to. Hope y'all are getting out there and catching some. Hope you're having a good week, and I'll see you guys on the next video, and thank you for watching.